If I could have your attention, please. Excuse me. If I could have your attention, please. Good evening. The time is now 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, and I'd like to call to order the annual meeting of the Cunningham Township. If you are a registered voter of the township, please continue to proceed to the table at the front of the room to make sure you're checked in so that you receive your ballots. Additionally, the fire marshal has asked that the public standing in chambers stay in single file along the walls to ensure clear aisles for cycling in and out. I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items to get us started. My name is Darcy Sandifer, and I am the interim Urbana City Clerk and Cunningham Township Clerk. This evening, I will be the only elected official acting in any official capacity, as I am a non-voting member of the body ordinarily. The registered voters of Cunningham Township, or the electorate, will be the meeting body this evening, meaning all business of the evening is done via motions and votes taken by the electorate in attendance, not the Township Board or the City Council. As such, there is a document included in the packet online and on the table in the lobby with Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure information. Every action is done via a motion. Every motion requires a second followed by a vote. We ask that when we call for motions and seconds, that individuals either come to the microphone or the microphone is handed to them and they state, "Hi, I'm electorate Jane Doe and I motion," and then the motion. That is so that we have a clear record for the minutes moving forward. There can be a discussion and questions for every item that requires a vote, but only one person may speak at a time. We ask that anytime you wish to speak, you do so into the microphone at the front of the room so that those watching from home may hear you and so that we maintain a complete meeting record. Items of business will be passed by a simple majority. Votes for the majority of the agenda items this evening will be done by a show of hands holding the pink ballots issued to the electorate from the check-in table here at the front of the room by the Deputy City Clerk and City staff. So please do not mark your ballots until we are at that point in the agenda so that they are blank and you can just hold it up showing that you are a registered voter and that you are voting in favor of hypothetically approving the minutes. Votes for the 2 referendum advisory questions will be done via a ballot following a motion and a second for each individual item. Ballots will be submitted here at the front table and the labeled box that is sitting behind them will bring it to the front. The 2 referendum advisory questions before the body for a vote this evening may not be amended, and the decision this evening is simply a vote in the affirmative or negative if they shall appear on the ballot in November as advertised on the agenda. There is more information about referendum advisory questions and that process, both in the document provided on the table from a previous meeting of the township, in addition to the handout that the township supervisor has handed out this evening as well. So there is further information about that process. Given the large number of people in attendance, we ask that those who are able to stand surrender their seats to those who are unable to. Additionally, during the portions of the meeting where the votes and motions are required, which is all portions aside from public input, we ask that the public assist in cycling in and out of council chambers in coordination with the fire marshal at the doors to ensure that the registered voters are able to fully participate in the voting process within council chambers. The meeting is being streamed on the TV in the lobby as well as online and on cable, and the public is welcome to attend. We will again call for cycling through in order for all who wish to provide public input at that designated time. We want to ensure all are able to participate fully, so please bring any concerns to the attention of staff. And with that being said, I think we can probably get moving towards the first items of business on the agenda. And again, the Deputy City Clerk will remain at the table throughout the duration of the meeting to assist in checking folks in who may attend after the meeting has been called to order. So the first item of business before the body is approval of the minutes from April 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Moved by electorate. Can you state your name, please?
Moved by electorate Danielle Chenoweth.
Perfect, thank you. Is there a second? Can you please come to the microphone and state your name for the record with your second, please? I apologize. We're still working out the logistics.
Sam Froyland seconds.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or corrections to the minutes as presented? We will not be reading them because they are provided in print. They are both online and were on the table out in the lobby. We'll give a moment to review. Seeing no corrections or discussions, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please raise your pink card in favor. Okay. All those opposed, please do the same. That item passes. The next item of business before the body is the adoption of public input guidelines. So because this is not the city council, this is not a board or a commission, this is the electorate, there are not rules that govern this body or bylaws that we have to adhere to in that sense. That being said, I have provided in the packet a proposed set of public input guidelines, and these are simply the ones that appear on every city council and township agenda. The only change that has been made is I amended the email address for written input to read city clerk instead of city council, because this is not a meeting of the city council. Written input is also accepted up here through the duration of the meeting. We have papers for it, and it will be included in the meeting record. That being said, there needs to be a motion to consider these public input guidelines in a second, should this be what you want to adopt.
Clerk? Yes, yes. So, as the clerk stated, the electorate determines the rules of this meeting, and there is proposal for the rules on 2 pieces of paper. The clerk has provided the rules for public input that are used by the city council. The supervisor, but today I am just the electorate in this case, have proposed 3 rules. I will read what was on the piece of paper so that you can see what is proposed. The annual town meeting is meant to be a decision-making body for the registered town voters, although members of the public, meaning non-registered voters, people outside of Urbana, are welcome to attend. In the interest of providing the town electorate the broadest opportunity to speak and vote, with an eye to accommodating seniors, parents/guardians, and people with disabilities, I propose the following rules for adoption by the electorate, and I have attempted to circulate this to you, and there are copies in the back. 1, any qualified voter can speak once per agenda item for up to 3 minutes per voter per item. 2, any qualified voter may submit their ballot to the clerk at any time from the time the motion is made and seconded until discussion is closed and the voting time is ended. 3, public input, which is open to non-residents as well as voters, shall be moved to the end of the meeting and shall be limited to 3 minutes per person for no more than 1 hour. Public input may be provided in writing, which the clerk will then publish as part of the public record.
If I may, just for a point of order and for clarification, I recommend that we consider the public input guidelines separate from the proposed rules so that if amendments are to be desired, it's clear. So 2 separate motion seconds and votes. So the one that I'm going to call for first is the public input guidelines, which is the rules that are appended to city council agendas that states the standard 5 minutes per person, no more than 2 hours, the standard guidelines. Is there a motion to that effect to adopt the public input guidelines as they're proposed?
I move approval.
Is there a second? Could you please state your name? Is there any discussion or question about the proposed public input guidelines? 5. 5 is the standard. At city council, we have a separate thing in council bylaws, which is separate from public input, that provides that should there be more than 25 persons wishing to speak, the chair may limit public speaking to 3 minutes a person, still at the 2-hour mark, in favor of more individuals participating. I did not provide that because this is not the city council and we don't have a chair, we have a moderator. But you are also welcome to propose amendments to the public input guidelines as written, including the 5 minutes and 2 hours.
I move to amend the motion
Two.
to add the 3 rules that Danielle Chenoweth proposed and cut the period of time of speaking to 3 minutes per person. Esther Pat.
Second.
So to clarify, the motion on the floor before us is a motion to amend by Esther Patton, seconded by Electorate Chenoweth, to include the amended proposal rules from Supervisor Chenoweth as part of the adoption of the public input guidelines with the caveat of 3 minutes per speaker during public input. Is that correct? Okay. Is there any discussion or question about that amendment? Yes.
If I can just speak to one point.
Sure.
Public input is at the start of government meetings so that the public can tell the government officials what we think before they make our decisions for us. Since there are no government officials here to whom we should appeal, we are the decision makers. I think public input, since there's room for debate on the questions when they come up, that the whole general public input should be at the end of the meeting.
Any further discussion or questions on the amendment? Sure.
Alan Axelrod, there are specific provisions in state statutes that allow for certain motions during an annual township meeting for items that are not on the agenda. And so if we abandon input for items that are not already on the agenda, which is, what is proposed, if we remove the public input section, then we actually do prohibit people from exercising those rights.
So as a point of order and clarification, no item of business may be considered before this body that was not advertised. We may have discussions of items that were not advertised, but we can take no action on items that were not advertised appropriately.
Paragraph C in the agendized section, sorry.
So to clarify, 60 ILCS 1, Article 30, which is the annual township meeting, you're saying Section 30-5C?
Pulling it up, 1 second.
Sure, no problem. No problem. Because I have that,
It's okay.
no, you're fine. Section C, additional agenda items. Any matter or proposal not set forth in the published agenda shall not be considered at the annual meeting other than advising that the matter may be considered at a special meeting of the electorate at a later date. So no final action can occur on items that were not previously advertised this evening.
Correct, other than advising.
Correct. So we can have a discussion about them, but we cannot take action on anything not advertised.
Right, that's the state statute language
Correct.
I'm
Yeah,
referring to.
as I read, yes.
Yep, okay.
Thank
so we're
you.
in agreement, great.
Sure. I would also add to that in response that if public input is the last item of business and items are wished to be added or for discussion, that could still occur after public input has concluded. I don't see why that couldn't occur. So I believe that we can still honor that. So again, the item before the body is a motion to amend the public input guidelines to include the proposed rules from Electorate Chenoweth. Motion by Esther Patton, seconded by Chenoweth. Are there any further questions or discussion about the proposed amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, not adopting the public input rules, this is just making the change first, please raise your pink card in favor of adopting them as amended. Okay. Those opposed, please do the same. Okay. So we have amended the public input rules. The original motion now, as amended, to adopt the public input rules with the proposal for rules was motioned by Electorate Chenoweth and seconded by Derek Briles. Is there any discussion on the public input rules as amended for final adoption? Or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the public input rules as amended, please raise your pink cards. Thank you. All those opposed to adopting the public input rules, please raise your pink card. Seeing none, that passes. The next item of business is the election and oath of our moderator. So, the moderator is going to chair this meeting. They will get to sit up here with a microphone, and they are sharing the administrative duties of the meeting. So they're going to help me recognize speakers and ensure that we're maintaining a complete meeting record. The moderator must be a member of the electorate, meaning they have to be a registered voter of the township. This does not preclude them from voting on items. This is just to help share the administrative duties and to provide more involvement in the process. So it is not an elected official running the meeting. We will take nominations from the floor. Each nomination needs a motion and a second. We will call for multiple nominations, and then there will be a vote on each one. Yes.
I nominate Mark Enslin as the moderator.
Is there a second? I second. Please state your name. Alrighty, so a motion to nominate Mark Enslin by Electorate Chenoweth and Diane Gottile.
Can I speak to the motion? Or
Yes.
Okay. I have spoken with many folks on the issue before this body, and I am very happy that you are here. Welcome to Township. This is your township. In speaking with various interest groups around the referendum this evening, I wanted to seek a moderator who has experience in facilitation, specifically in intergroup dialogue, and has a long track record of being fair and able to navigate process. I asked no less than 20 people to do this. There is only one person who accepted this offer. That does not mean you can't put other nominations forward. This is your meeting, not mine. I just want to share some background. Many folks were out of town, and there were a number who really wished that they could play this role because intergroup dialogue is really important, that we be able to come together and have discussion together as a community. So Mark Enslin is someone I've known for 35 years. He's an educator and an artist and a music composer, and he runs Inner Voices Social Theater with Lisa Fay and Jeff Glassman and others in the community. He teaches on campus. Specifically, that theater group is about helping folks in the campus and community have difficult conversations. So I thought that he may be appropriate for this evening. I certainly welcome any other nominations, but I wanted to put his name forward. Thank you.
And does Mark Enslin accept the nomination? Okay. Are there any further nominations from the floor for moderator? I believe I have to ask again. Are there any further nominations from the floor for moderator? Seeing none, the motion on the floor is to elect nominee Mark Enslin to be the moderator for the duration of the town meeting. This was moved by Electorate Chenoweth and seconded by Electorate Diane Gottile. Are there any questions about the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor of electing nominee Mark Enslin to be the moderator of this evening, please raise your pink card. Okay, thank you. Those opposed to nominating Mark Enslin to be the moderator of this meeting, please raise your pink card. Alrighty, congratulations, Mark. If you would please come up here, I will administer the oath. Yeah, it just falls at the magnet. I'll have you sit next to me. We can turn on the mic. Because we can see everything up here. And then please speak into your microphone. If you hit the little button, it'll turn on a green light.
Am I live?
I believe so. Can everybody hear him okay?
Say something. Testing, testing,
Okay.
testy.
Alrighty. Mark, if you would please repeat after me into your microphone. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of moderator
discharge the duties of moderator
at this town meeting to the best of my ability.
at this town meeting to the best of my ability.
Thank you. If you would please sign that top line. Thank you. You are now presiding over this meeting. I believe the next item of business now, since we've amended. Oh, let me find my agenda. Is the program updates from the Cunningham Township Supervisor. This is you. Let me turn on the projector.
Program updates from Cunningham Township Supervisors and Assessor's Office.
Thank you. Ibrahim, if it's possible, can you put the presentation on the overhead projector?
Coming up slow.
Okay.
If UPTV could ensure that the laptop in council chambers is now displaying on the TV at home. Thank you. I see it now.
Awesome. So first, I just want to point out, this is our fiscal report. It's here for your inspection. It's at the township, and it's also at the clerk's office. That's my fiduciary responsibility to let you know about that. I want to tell the story of Township and our programs from this last year. I will be brief because I suspect that you're not here for my presentation. But I do want to welcome you to Cunningham Township. Cunningham Township is the last safety net for low-income families and individuals in the city of Urbana. We have also expanded via grant money to serve the county in homeless services. So I'm going to present to you what we did this last year because I have a captive audience and I would love to be able to present to you what we did. I also really want to let the electorate know that we are here for you and we are here for your neighbors and your friends. Our motto is neighbors helping neighbors. And so when we think about public aid, we don't think of it as us and them. We think of it as all of us. We are living in late-stage capitalism. Don't know if you noticed that. But essentially what that means is a demobilization of labor power. And basically it creates a situation in which the way we experience it in this community oftentimes is that income does not keep up with rent. Or mortgage, for that matter, especially for folks who have inherited properties from their families. So I am going to present a little bit about what we did this last year in slides. This is our 2023 impacts. It's also a really good way to understand what it is we do. And I would ask you, since I do have your time here, if you could please help us be ambassadors for Township with your neighbors and friends. We support everyone in Urbana, regardless of their conviction status, regardless of their immigration status. So I just want to let folks know we are here for all. We provide support. The one thing we are required to do as the supervisor's office is to provide general assistance, otherwise known as income assistance. We work with folks who are awaiting disability payments, and we provide a monthly check so that they can live and buy toilet paper. And we also have employment and education opportunities for folks who are out of work. You may probably know that we had almost 200 folks on that during the pandemic who are waiting on employment because the unemployment office literally was not functional and the website would not work. And so we provided bridge payments for people who are out of work. So we also provide folks support for folks who are have children and are applying for TANF. I believe we are the only township that does that. But we consider that to be a bridge payment for families who are waiting TANF because it can take up to 3 months. We provide rental assistance both for folks who are behind in rent as well as move in. And that's really important, especially for our families and individuals who are double up homeless, otherwise known as McKinney-Vento homeless, to help people move into their own place. Oftentimes the only barrier is that first month's rent and deposit, and we provide that. We do street outreach. We have a staff member who travels throughout the county engaging literally homeless residents and helping them access services. Part of street outreach is also school outreach, and we have a partnership with Urbana School District where we essentially receive referrals from all of the schools in Urbana for any family with any housing need at all. And so we figure out how to best meet that housing need. Emergency housing, thanks to Urbana voters, including I think probably many people in the room. I won't ask you to raise your hand if you voted for this, but we did increase the tax levy so that we could continue to support emergency housing for families. We have very close to ended literal homelessness for families in Urbana schools. And we've done that with your tax dollars. It was not a whole lot. It was about $40 a household that we added. It raised $600,000. It pays for 8 units, and then we have the ability to expand into hotels as needed. And that has been an important piece. You can see how much we spent on emergency housing and how many households. We supported 27 households last year with that program. Yeah, it's right here on the left, emergency housing. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Not in charge of the television. We support people in accessing all available housing. So we have housing navigators and help people get into subsidized housing. So we helped 29 folks, including 58 children this last year, access subsidized housing. We provide food support. If you ever know anyone who's having difficulty accessing food temporarily, permanently, please have them call our office so that our food assistance navigator can help them access food. We do with help from the Channing Murray Foundation and Hope Food Pantry and Wesley Food Pantry, we help to deliver food to people who can't get to food pantries. So we can do that. And we do not ask for a bunch of paperwork. We just ask, do you have the need? And we will take care of it. We provide transportation support. We do a lot of bus passes each year and bus tokens. We have a digital inclusion campaign helping people access phones and internet in the home. Utility support this was our biggest year for utility support. We had a lot, we basically support Urbana residents who are shut off. So I will not tell you how many times we got called in the winter with someone with their water completely shut off with children in the home, and we paid to have their water bill turned back on. We also do that with power and make sure that people keep the lights on. And we have an angel donor fund. This is how much we brought in, $33,000 last year from 56 unique donors. And we use that to cover things that are not covered by other assistance. Okay, that is the broad overview. I will be brief around the next, but I wanted you to know who we are because 7 years ago when I started, May of 2017, we supported 25 folks. And last year we supported about 4,000 or 5,000 people. So I would like you to please use your township. I do want to recognize our staff in the audience. If you're a staff member of Township, if you can just raise your hand. Jenny is here. Yep, I appreciate you. Okay, financial report. I just want to show our income and expenses. You'll see for the first time in Township history, we bring in grants. This last year, we brought in about $337,000. The year that we're in now, we brought in closer to about $700,000. So we're trying to augment our dollars with dollars from the state. I just want to point out a couple of things because sometimes I would say we are a community of contrasts with a professional class and a service class, and sometimes never the twain shall meet except at, at the bar. And so I just want to point out unemployment rates and what they look like in our community. You can see the pandemic is that huge bump, but you can see that we have not necessarily gotten back to normal, so to speak. Here's general assistance going back to 1998. You can see the dollars spent on assistance. So rent, medical, general assistance. Thanks to the ACA, we do no longer have medical assistance. So it's primarily rent, emergency, and general assistance. I did want to show you what our assistance counts look like in relation to county poverty, which is the orange line, and national poverty, which is the purple line. You might notice that we're poorer than the nation, and that we've seen an increase in poverty, especially since about 2004. National poverty has stayed relatively consistent. Cases have been all over the place, but you'll see in 2017, we brought assistance rolls back. We had a huge bump around the pandemic, and they have dropped since to something that's closer to historic averages. Urbana rent burden is, in 2023, the rent burden has gone down from the past, so that's a good sign. When we first showed these numbers in 2019, the rent burden was 66%. It's now much closer to the national rent burden. That basically means if a household pays more than 30% of their income on rent. These are bridge to home services, our homeless services. Many of these are available countywide. But essentially, you can see that we provide a continuum all the way from street and school outreach through emergency and transitional housing. We do rental assistance, and then we have housing navigation and supportive services. Our street outreach, here's some information about our street outreach. You will see this is by years. So you've seen that we started street outreach in 2021. It's gone up quite a bit. In 2024, we're only 3 months into that year. But you can also see about 16% of the folks we serve are families and about 77% couples. Our rental assistance is a huge part of our program. When I first came in, there was one rental assistance program in the county. It was $45,000 a year. It was run by RPC. Last year, the entire community now has over $500,000 in rental assistance. We have a rental assistance consortium between the City of Champaign Township, Cunningham Township, and Regional Plan Commission. We cover the entire county in rental assistance, and we have given out almost $800,000 in rental assistance to date. That is all to prevent evictions and to support homeless families moving into housing. This is our housing advocacy information. Rapid rehousing is for literally homeless residents to move into housing where we pay their rent for up to a year. This is our emergency hotel housing. So you can see that we have an overall program success of 87%. School outreach, we talk a little bit about our outreach and assessment. This is an important part of us reaching out to families within the school system. What we were finding is that we would find out families were getting evicted when it was too late to do anything. So that's why we're going into the schools to see if we can basically find families who have precarity before it even gets to the court system so that we can address that issue. This is our Cunningham Township Bridge to Home emergency housing. And you can see about 62% of the folks that we've supported are children. I will say, if you want to end violence in our community, one of the most important things that you can do is to safely house children. We have an angel donor funded program where we provide housewarming assistance to homeless residents to furnish their homes. We provide vouchers to Habitat for Humanity Restore and Salt and Light, and that's been a really popular program. So we've spent $17,000 in angel donor funds helping people move into housing. What we found is we would help people move into housing, and then we would get a call, and they would say, I am sleeping on the carpet. I don't have a blanket. I don't have a pillow. I don't have a bed. And so we started this program because we wanted to make sure that people move with dignity. Utility assistance has become really important. Raise your hand if your utility bills have gone up in the last year. Okay, so the impact on low-income residents has been obscene. And we've seen a very, very high number of people facing shutoffs, much higher than we have ever seen before. And so we're carefully monitoring the situation to address it. Right now, we're paying to keep people's power and water on. We also refer people to other programs within the community. Sharing Table, also known as our Bucket Brigade. We started during the pandemic as a literal bucket brigade, helping bring masks and safety supplies and food to people who needed to shelter at home, who might be immune compromised, who might be afraid to go outside. It was an amazing mutual aid network that we built with the Channing Murray Foundation. I want to recognize Ron Kester as a primary person who has supported that with his labor for many, many years. And so, thank you, Ron. And Emily McCowan, if she is in the audience, and Sam Michelle, and all of our friends at Red Herring. So we now partner with Ride United, and which is funded through United Way, and we help to provide delivery service to people's homes from a whole number of pantries. So you can see who we served last year. We initiated the Solidarity Gardens Collaborative, which is now a collaboration of over 20 gardens. We are currently running a free plot program, so if you are or know of a low-income or immigrant family or individual who would like to be able to access your own garden plot for free, and we also provide tools and seeds and seedlings, we are running that right now. So if you go to Solidarity Gardens website, you can see more about that. We also take donations, which help to pay for the tools and the seeds. We run an events series, and this year we're going to have monthly events. So please, if you get a chance to sign up on our listserv, we will let you know about our upcoming events. We also are on all the socials except X, because I'm not going to explain what, but Facebook and Instagram, we are on those socials. TikTok, no. Okay, digital inclusion, you can see a little bit about transportation assistance, et cetera. Here's our angel donor information. We have 29 written collaborations. We do everything we do in collaboration with community groups, and that is how we're able to provide seamless services. These are all of our collaborators, and we thank them. This is the most important slide to me personally, which is that when I came in, we increased the GA roles back to where they needed to be, and we started tracking. It was actually Darcy Sandifer, who worked in our office, who created a system to track the housing status of people who came in the front door asking for general assistance. And with that data, we saw what a large number of people who we provide general assistance for were homeless. And that makes sense because you have to be making less than $600 a month to get on general assistance. Actually, at the time, it was $265. So what we did is we decided to set our vision on ending homelessness and hunger in Urbana. Yes, we can. And so we started to track the homeless status of our GA participants. And I just want to show that when we started tracking this was about 2018, when 2018, 2019, 2020 looked like this. And 2020 is when we put our housing advocacy program into place. And when one by one, we helped homeless residents access housing with a whole set of wraparound services. And you can see, this is our proudest accomplishment, is the number of homeless GA participants going down. We have seen a slight increase. This year, we've also seen an increase in general assistance participants generally. So that's an important. So I just want to end by saying that Townships, our vision is to end homelessness and hunger in Urbana. We do that in a data-driven and loving way by making sure that we look at who out there is in our community is experiencing homelessness and hunger, and providing many, many points of entry, both formal and informal, for them to access services. that our events program is a really important piece of our street outreach because it provides a low-key way of people being able to come, get to know Township, get to know their neighbors, find out about services. They don't have to provide their name or go through anything like they do at the public aid office. So we're really trying to provide a welcoming space. I will just end that we are guided by a politics of love at Township, and it's something that we could use a lot more of. Thank you.
Danielle. Just a few, one's like a request and one is a point of clarity. Can I request a copy of these slides be shared with the clerk's office because I can then add it to the published packet for this meeting so that those in attendance and those at home can go back and look at these slides after the fact?
Absolutely.
Perfect,
Yep.
okay. And then the second thing was a question. On the agenda as prepared, was this presentation combining items 6, 7, and 8 in total?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
I'd like to be efficient.
About items 6, 7, and 8.
I am. It is a presentation, and I think we can take questions, correct? Okay.
So,
I'm happy to answer your questions.
any questions or comments about this presentation?
I would, two
I'll just
ways I would
reiterate the
answer.
question just in case it
Yep.
was not heard.
Oh,
What do you need help with?
Okay, thank you. Broadly, I think what we need help with is helping to see our neighbors as full human beings in all of their potential. That's the broad answer. And the narrow answer is it really helps to refer people to us, especially the front door rather than my personal Facebook page. I just would really appreciate that, or my personal cell phone. So I have a great team of folks, and they can email info@ctso.org. They can call us at 384-4144, or they can come by our office during office hours, Monday through Friday, and we answer the phone and we answer the door. And we actually have a real live human being who will talk to you, and a lot of the assistance and support we do is in that. If you do have additional change, we do take donations for the Angel Donor Fund, and that helps cover some of the things that aren't, within our broad assistance. Also, most of what you saw was funded initially through Angel Donor Funds because we saw it was a need, but we didn't have the money for it. So the emergency housing, the utility assistance, the sharing table, those were all private donor funded at first, and that helps us kind of leverage up a program. Yep. Yes, can he talk with me at the end of the meeting? It depends on how late the meeting is, but if you dropped me an email, I would be happy, and I probably will be more sober, not late at the end of the night. Yeah, it's 217-384-4144. You can call any time, day or night, and leave a message, and you will get a call back the next day, most likely, unless it was a torrent of voicemail. So you can always leave a voicemail, or you can call during business hours and get a live human. 217-384-4144, and it is also on the letterhead that is in the piece of paper that you have. Yep, the orange piece of paper. And you can Google us, although, yeah, and it's on our Facebook page. Happy to answer any other questions you have.
I'd like to remind people to use the microphones to help people at home and for recording. There's a question up there, a comment?
Thanks for your presentation, Danielle. You do a lot of good work despite disagreements we've had. I also want to say that every single one of these programs is better for, it improves our community for them to.
I think you're not.
Maybe not on.
Is it coming
UBTV,
through now?
Is the public
Okay.
input microphone on?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's on. Sorry,
it's
I was a little
good.
too far away. So every single one of these programs is improving our community, and I thank you for that. 2 years ago, I did ask you if the rental assistance program's requirements of having twice the income of one's rent was a state policy versus a local. You had replied that it was a local policy. My ask to you is that policy still in effect? I do understand that we are better in this community for having the program than not at all. Thank you.
That's a very good question. So the way Township works is that the rules can be adjusted to meet the need by the supervisor. That would be me. As long as I publish it and I apply it fairly. So recently, during the pandemic, there was a lot of support coming with them for the federal and state government. And therefore, we funneled people to that support. When that support went away, that's when Township really felt it. So we got, this last year and the year before, we have had a record high number of rental assistance cases. We have adjusted the income requirement to allow for greater flexibility. But we have continued to cap it only once every 2 years, which I know wasn't your question, but it was your question 2 years ago. And the reason why is because if you look at our financial report, we are running way over budget on our rental assistance. I'm able to make it up with surplus and general going under in general assistance, but I do have to make sure that I stay within the budget. I would love to be able to move to once a year, and so we're prospecting that issue. But yes, so essentially we can have some flexibility with the rules depending on what the economy looks like and how many assistance cases are coming in. Yep, you're welcome.
Are there any other comments or questions related to the presentation? Seeing none, I think we can move on to the next part of the agenda. There are 2 proposed referenda to be put in the ballot November, and I think the proper procedure would be to go one by one. The first one, and I'll just like to remind people that because of the vote we took on the procedures at the beginning, the discussion of these 2 will be for registered voters. And I'll remind people that there's public input, including anyone who wishes to speak. They'll be later on in the agenda. So the first one of these, this is the question to us today to try to figure out. Shall the following advisory question of public policy be placed on the ballot for submission to the voters in Cunningham Township, in Champaign County, in the state of Illinois, for the November 5th, 2024 election? Quote, shall the city of Urbana adopt a policy whereby the city shall not invest in any fossil fuel company or any subsidiary, affiliate, or parent of any fossil fuel company? Question mark. So if there's anyone who wishes to move on this, or considering this matter, please come forward. State your name, please.
Alan Axelrod, I move that we consider this matter. Is that appropriate?
Yes.
Thank you.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Would you state your name, please?
Deborah Hollenberg.
Thank you. So is there any discussion? And just remind people that at this point it is now possible procedurally to vote on it. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So for members of the electorate, if you have not already, please come to the front and check in with Raphael. Also at this time, now that there is a motion to consider on the floor for item 9 on the agenda, you may bring forward your pink ballot and place it in the yellow box here on the table to vote on this item, as there is a motion on the floor.
Yeah, there can be discussion of
There
this.
can be discussion and questions, and in terms of Mark, just some sort of indication so that when we're quickly looking through, we can tally totals, and they are completely anonymous as well. You are only allowed to speak on the matter currently on the floor, which is item 9 at this time. Yes, so if you wish to speak on multiple agenda items this evening, you will have the opportunity to do so, in addition to public input. Yes.
So while people are in the process of voting, we can also take any discussion of this item. And if so, please come up to the microphone.
I will also ask at this time, too, as there is a voting item on the floor, that members of the electorate are able to cycle through from outside in the lobby to ensure that all are able to participate. Thank you.
I would just like to thank the Champaign-Urbana DSA Eco-Socialist Working Group and the Party for Socialism and Liberation for putting this referendum forward. Thank you.
Yes, another comment. Please go to the microphone, state your name.
May I pass the microphone to the person who originally asked a question?
Yeah, good, thanks.
My name's Marcy Goldstein. And first, before I ask my question, I think having the questions during the voting is inappropriate because the answer to the question could affect how somebody votes. So my question is, does the city of Urbana, or Cunningham Township, do they currently have any interest in any of these fossil fuel companies?
So as this is a meeting of the electorate, there are not representatives prepared to speak to these items, and I will also remind that these are non-binding advisory referendum questions. The decision before the body this evening is to consider whether the electorate wishes that these items appear on the ballot on November 5th. We're not deciding if we want them to do it. We're deciding if we want it to go for a vote before the public on the ballot.
Okay, thank you. I've already dropped mine.
Discussion is still open on this motion on the floor. I know it may be a little difficult to get to the microphone.
Correct at this time, and we're gonna say like this is the final call for votes, and then we'll tally them and move on to item 10.
So if I wanted to vote, I should vote.
You should vote now. Yep. Yes. We'll separate it out. Well, look, we have, if you looked at them, they had different borders so that there's a really clean visual identifier that they're different. Okay. So we should be able, when we're going through them, to set it aside if it's something different. Yep. Understood. Thank you. There was a question asked if someone accidentally put their vote for 10 in there, if it'll still be counted, and I said yes, because the borders are visually different. We'll set it aside for that time.
And just want to remind people that this is the vote on item 9, and if you have a vote for the next item, keep that ballot until there may be such a motion. So this motion is still on the floor, and I'd just like to reiterate if anyone has anything they wish to speak to in discussing this motion.
Please go
please state your name and yes.
Carla, can you repeat it's a very simple question. Can you repeat the motion again?
Yes. Shall the following advisory question of public policy be placed on the ballot for submission to the voters in Cunningham Township in Champaign County in the state of Illinois for the November 5th, 2024 election? And that is, shall the city of Urbana adopt a policy whereby the city shall not invest in any fossil fuel company or any subsidiary, affiliate, or parent of any fossil fuel company? So, yeah. That
We
helps.
can start, yeah, going through 'em. Ask for your help in this.
Counting?
Yep, and tallying.
Okay.
Okay. Yep, so 2 yes. 4 yes. 7 yes. 8 yes. 9 yes. 10 yes. 11 yes. 12 yes. 13 yes. 14 yes. 15 yes. 16 yes. 17 yes. 19 yes. Yes. 22 yes. 24.
No, you said just one.
Okay, 25 yes. 26 yes. 27 yes. Yes. 31 yes.
31, you said.
That's a no.
Oh.
Did you just?
Oh, yeah, someone just put in a ballot.
Okay.
So 31 was a yes? Or we had 31?
31 was a no, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So this is 31 yes.
Okay.
32 yes.
All right.
33 yes. 34 yes. 35 yes. 36 yes. 37 yes. 39 yes.
Oh, wait, 38?
38. 39. 40 yes. 40 yes. 43 yes. 44 yes. 45 yes. 49 yes. 51 yes. 52 yes. 53 yes. 54 yes. 55 yes. 56 yes. 57 yes. 58 yes. 59 yes. 60 yes. 61 yes. 62 yes. Yes. 64 yes. 65 yes. 66 yes. 66 yes.
No, that would be now 67?
67 yes.
You already did 66, yes, so this would be, next would be 67.
67
Yeah.
yes. 68 yes. 69 yes. Yes. 71. 72. 3 yes. 74 yes. 75 yes. 76 yes. 77 yes. 8 yes. 79 yes. 80 yes. 1 yes. 82 yes. 83 yes. 84 yes. And no. I have 1 no.
Okay.
2 no. 3 no. 4 no. 5 no. 6 no. 7 no. 8 no. 9 no. 10 no. 11 no. 12 no, 13 no, 14 no, 15 no, 16 no, 17 no, 18 no, 19 no, 20 no, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 no.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 84 to 29 for Raphael. At least they're separated, yes and no. So we have a consensus of 84 and 28 for passage. You had 20, I had 29. 29 no's,
Oh,
which the majority is yes. So we can announce that.
shall I announce 28 or 29?
Your count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17. 26, 27, 28, 29.
Okay. So I announce that, and
Yeah, so you'll announce that there were 84 votes in the affirmative and 29 votes, and that this passes.
I can announce the results of that vote. There were 84 votes in the affirmative and 29 votes in the negative, so that motion passes. That does mean that it goes on the ballot, yes. And next on the agenda is consideration of this possible referendum question. And I will read the text. And like before, if there's a motion, then there can be a discussion of the motion. Shall the following advisory question of public policy be placed on the ballot for submission to the voters in Cunningham Township in Champaign County in the state of Illinois for the November 5th, 2024 election? Quote, shall the United States federal government and subordinate divisions stop giving military funding to Israel, which currently costs taxpayers $3.8 billion a year, given Israel's global recognition as an apartheid regime with a track record of human rights violations? Question mark.
Also, as a point of clarity in filing through these, I noticed, which is why we had the border separate, actually one of the 84 affirmative was for a other item on the agenda. So it is actually 83 in the affirmative, 29 in the negative, and that ballot is brought back up there because it is for the other advisory question. So to my knowledge, only one person voted for both at this time, so good job.
Thanks for that clarification. There is this consideration on the floor. Does anyone wish to make a motion in relation to it? A motion to consider? Can you please come to the microphone, state your name? Thank you.
Colin Dodson, I motion.
Move.
To move on the vote for this.
Is there a second?
Deborah Hollenberg, I second the motion.
Thank you. The floor is open for discussion.
I have a question about this and maybe the previous motion. Where did this motion come from? Do we have a right to know as voters?
So there were 2 petitions filed with the city and township clerk's office on March 1st. In the state statutes, referendum advisory questions. So any group of registered voters may request an advisory question of public policy for consideration by the electors at the annual meeting by giving written notice of the specific advisory question to the township clerk. And the guidelines for that, they must have 15 registered voters sign off on it for consideration. And it was then placed on the draft annual Township Board meeting agenda that was approved by the Township Board, and it is now before you for consideration.
If there's any other discussion, please. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm Sana Sabuwala. I'm an Urbana resident. Is this the time that I can talk about what I think about this?
Yes.
You can speak for up to 3 minutes per agenda item. There is also an opportunity for public input, so your comments need to be limited to just this item.
Okay.
But yes, I'll start the timer.
So again, my name is Sana Sabuwala. I'm a Urbana resident and the member of the CU Muslim Action Committee. Eid Mubarak to everybody. I urge the electorate to vote yes on this referendum to give people a chance to actually vote on this issue in November. It's obviously an issue that's important to the community, and regardless of where you stand on it, it's democratic that we have the opportunity to vote on this in November on the actual ballot. So many people have shown up for this meeting to discuss it, so it's obviously something important to the community. Since I'm given this 3 minutes, I want to take a minute to talk about the weapons that our federal government has funded that have been deployed by the Israeli military.
Point of order.
Yes, point of order. Can the side conversations please become low enough that we can hear the speaker at the microphone? Thank you.
So yeah, I wanted to take a minute to talk about the weapons that our government has deployed or has funded that have been deployed against Palestinians by the Israeli military.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt you, but I just would like to ask everyone in the room to please tone down your voices. It's still too loud, I think. Or exit to the lobby if necessary. Thank you. Continue.
Thank you. So this includes the illegal chemical weapon white phosphorus, as well as the Hellfire missile, which has been developed in the United States and deployed against Palestinians. This is a missile that uses state-of-the-art technology, laser technology, to track people specifically when it matches its target. Six sharp implements come out of the missile. Its purpose is to maim and hurt people. This is what our government is funding instead of things like housing, schooling, food. This referendum doesn't necessarily end the $100 million in bonds that the state of Illinois pays towards Israel. It doesn't even end the billions of dollars that the states invest in Israeli companies. It only asks to give us the chance to vote on the idea that we don't want any more federal money going towards military aid in Israel. Thank you.
Next, please state your name.
Okay. My name is Audrey Ishii. I'm a resident of Urbana. This referendum would be okay except for the extremely leading and debatable clause which serves as propaganda to lead the uninformed to the patently obvious right answer. This renders the entire result invalid. This would never pass scrutiny as a survey. This referendum is the logical equivalent of one touted by a presidential candidate, which would be as follows. Given that migrants crossing our southern border are recognized to be thieves and rapists with a track record of criminality and welfare expenses that are costing the U.S. taxpayer billions of dollars annually, should the U.S. seal the southern border and refuse all further assistance? This, if we wish to indicate our disapproval of military aid, that would be fine. However, adding a blatant piece of propaganda to an official ballot is one step towards fascism, which we are already seeing on the national stage. And therefore, please reject this referendum. Urbana is better and smarter than this. Thank you.
Please state your name and your comment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lila Leopold, Urbana resident, and for many of the same reasons that the woman before me just spoke, but twisted in a different. All right, how's this for sound? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even if the exact wording of this text is not to your liking, I still urge you to consider the greater ramifications and the step that this moves us towards actually thinking about where our tax money goes. So I would seriously, woman before me and everyone else in the room, ask you to consider that this was submitted last minute, right, as a last resort. It is not perfect. It is not perfect grammatically. It might not have language that you fully agree with, but you need to dig. I am speaking. You need to dig closer and deeper into the substance of this and think about you're asking our neighbors to put their taxes towards weapons that are killing their family members. And you're asking them to do this in my name, which no one in my family or my ancestors approve of. So we cannot ask our neighbors to pay their taxes to kill their family members. And I do not appreciate this feedback from the front row. I'm really trying to just urge you to see where this is coming from. And also,
please. I'm sorry. I paused your. Trying to pause your time. Please, this is not a time for back and forth. Folks have 3 minutes apiece.
I was prepared to just speak calmly.
I know.
But this is difficult.
I know.
I appreciate it.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me. This is a time for 3 minutes apiece for folks to speak to the item on the floor. I'm going to restart the timer. Thank you.
Point of order, clerk and moderator. The rules of the township annual meeting state that if someone continues to be disruptive and speak over people who are speaking, the moderator has the ability to ask for their removal. I would please ask us to not have to go to that point. This is a free speech space. We would ask you to please allow people to speak their 3 minutes without heckling or responses. So I'm asking you if you can follow the protocol that we agreed on. 3 minutes.
I'll restart your time now.
Okay, can I stand over here so I can see the timer?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Lila Leopold. I'm an Urbana resident. I've lived here since 2015. I have Holocaust survivors in my family, so I speak to you today from that side of the spectrum as well. And again, am simply urging us to consider that even I think everyone in this room has already voted, but I'm still going to say this anyway, that even if the wording, right, on this referendum might not be perfect, it might not have all of the language that you desire, it might have, a word that drives you up the wall right away for no reason, but we need to, at some point, get beyond these pieces of language that continue to divide us and try to tap more into our common humanity for the sake of our town, for the sake of living with each other in this wonderful town that does all of these wonderful things that the Cunningham Township was saying before, right? That this should be our focus here, to take care of each other, to take care of our neighbors. And a massive step in that, right, is at the very least not asking anyone to pay their taxes towards weapons that are killing their family members. And I cannot believe that anyone could possibly give me a thumbs down to anything that I've just said. This is also, right, we're at a stage where we're just trying to see if this can be on a ballot, right, in a democratic process. So if we could just take a step back and see that. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hello. My name is Josh. I'm an Urbana resident. It's not so much that this is imperfectly worded, it's that it's inaccurate. First of all, so the military funding that the United States federal government provides with Israel is in the form of a grant. This is not, as it is commonly stated, a blank check to Israel. It is financed through the foreign military, where is it? I have my fact sheet all ready to go. Yeah, so it's provided through the Foreign Military Financing Program, and what this does is it provides Israel with a grant to purchase U.S.-made weapons in America, basically putting that money back into the U.S. economy. And a significant portion of that aid is explicitly defensive aid. It is the Iron Dome, it's joint research programs between the U.S. and Israel, and the fact is that Israel is surrounded by plenty of actors on its borders and elsewhere that are seeking to destroy it, including Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and others. So the question of do they need that aid or not, I would argue very much yes, they do. As to the question of apartheid and the global recognition of it as such, yes, there have been a handful of non-governmental organizations that have made this claim. There has not been any governmental body. The United States State Department said in 2021 that this was not accurate. The European Commission, which represents 27 member states of the European Union, also said in 2023 that they would not use apartheid to describe Israel. There was a vote at the UN in the 70s that passed that said Zionism is racism, but that vote was undone 20 years later in the UN by an even larger margin. So in terms of international voting and actual recognition of this, that's just simply not the case. Arab citizens of Israel are able to vote. There's about 2 million of them. In our own country, you have people who live in American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands who cannot vote in U.S. national and presidential elections. I think it's something that perhaps we should be more focused on, given that that truly is something that pertains to our country. And with that, I will end. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephen McGuire. The military support of Israel is harmful to America, Palestine, Israel, and the world's interest. Israel agreed to cede the West Bank and Gaza to Palestine in the Oslo Accords. Contrary to what Israel agreed to, Israeli colonists have continued to take land in this area, and Israel shows continued interest in reclaiming Gaza. One of the sole obstacles to Israel being recognized is their insistence on committing war crimes rather than honoring their agreements. As a result, our country must compel them to honor their word, lest we become embroiled in the region and unable to pivot to defend Taiwan and Ukraine. Israel has the right to defend itself, but attacking an enemy that is unable to retaliate is vengeance and brutality, not self-defense. Please vote for this measure.
I'm appalled by this whole attitude.
May I ask you to state your name, please?
Olga Tumanova. I am a landlord in the Urbana, paying taxes, not voting. I'm appalled because it seems like people don't read
I apologize.
the news.
Did you say that you're not a voter?
No, I'm not. I am an owner.
So if you are not a registered voter of the electorate, you are not allowed to speak at this time. You will have to speak during public input. I ask that you return.
The gentleman told me that I could.
No, unfortunately, this is not public input. Again, as a reminder for those in attendance, this is per the rules that we adopted. The 3 minutes allotted for individuals who are registered voters to speak on the items of business before the body.
And the question is still, the motion is still on the floor that we're discussing.
Thank you, James.
And currently tallying the votes.
Majority speak.
You want to speak first? Are you sure? Okay. Yes. Good evening to everyone here. My name is Carla. I have been living in the city of Urbana for the last 5 years, and now in August will be exactly 5 years. I'm a proud licensed teacher and also a social worker in training, and I'm very glad that we're having this very exemplary example of, or moment of democracy in this building. I want to explain why I am voting yes for this referendum question, and why is it imperative for all of us to reconsider, as one of our colleagues has said, of how their ancestors are being used to fund this genocide. I will recall what Danielle mentioned in her point about how this township exactly tries to fight for homelessness and hunger. Palestinians are living with 245 calories a day. That is basically a little bit more than an Oreo packet, according to the Oxfam. Israel has displaced millions of Palestinians and have left 67 of all homes right now without operations at this point. Let's think about all the money that we can be using in this city to actually have more homes for the people in the city of Urbana, to actually feed more people instead of literally killing every single Palestinian at this point. And I will also clarify for the individual that spoke about Puerto Ricans and people in Guam and the Mariana Islands, I'm Puerto Rican born and raised. And it's completely false to actually say that the U.S. as an empire doesn't practice more democracy or is more democratic to those people than the state of Israel, because they're both two settler colonies. In Puerto Rico, the Israel bombards cities and schools. The U.S. shuts down our schools. The Israel bombards universities because right now there's no universities in Gaza. The U.S. has actually taken down 50% of the budget of the only public school in Puerto Rico. So I would reconsider people thinking that because the U.S. is the exemplary of democracy in the world, reconsider why are they supporting another settler colony that does the exact same thing, but much more violent, much more crude. So we need to reconsider our standards and think about what type of society and what type of country we want to live in, and reconsider that just like the U.S. is a settler colony, Israel is also a settler colony, and all settler colonies and empires go to an end. And we need to rethink about what type of society we want to see today in this country, which is one that feeds people and provides housing, not that kills people and displaces people. Thank you.
The motion is still on the floor. Are there voters who wish to speak to this discussion? Please state your name.
Want to go first? I want to go. Yeah, please. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Alexander Stolyer. I'm an Urbana resident for last 7 years. I to tell the truth, I was not even aware of this discussion, going on in Urbana, and I'm surprised that I would have to say something and clarify things which which seem completely obvious. It's Hamas who is killing in Gaza. Everybody. They started by killing Israelis. Now they're killing Palestinians by shooting from schools, from hospitals, from still shooting rockets into Israel. Calling Israel a colony state? Are you serious? Israel is, I'm speaking. Please do not interrupt me. Israel is internationally recognized apartheid state. What are you talking about? Recognized by whom? Are you serious? Why are you not discussing? Why are you not discussing? The resolution to demand to Hamas to surrender, and stop their murderous spree. Instead, you're discussing military aid to Israel. Israel has plenty of enemies around, as somebody said, to defend. Israel did not start this war. Who started this war? Is anybody here supports Hamas? Can you please raise your hand? Is there somebody here in this room who supports Hamas? Do I see anybody? Do I see anybody? No. Then why previous speakers? Why previous speakers? Yeah. Military Israel uses grants to buy U.S. military equipment to defend themselves. It has Hezbollah in the north. It has I'm not going to talk about geopolitics here. Okay. This is blatant anti-Israeli language. I find it ridiculous that this is even discussed.
Excuse me, this is not a time for back and forth. Thank you. No, I'm sorry. I have reset the timer for 3 minutes. The next speaker is allowed to speak. Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Ben Jocelyn. I'm an Urbana resident. I was born here. I am, over and over again, I wake up every day reading the news and learning about more people who've died with the weapons that I've paid for in Gaza. It's not a lie. In fact, that's how I wake up every day. And history will show again and again how tragic and awful and gut-wrenching this time has been. In terms of who started this, that's not what this measure is about. This measure is about not spending money on killing more children. And in terms of who started, if we want to go there, Israel had killed 38 Palestinian children before October 7th. On October 7th and 8th, there was a tragedy in which, a lot of Israeli children were killed, but it was not more than the 38 that Israel had already killed in Palestine that year. So in terms of how things have started, to try and pretend that they started on October 7th is ahistorical. Palestinian people have been oppressed for 75 years, and this is not an okay thing to continue to support. Whether or not I spend my tax dollars paying for other folks to kill children is a pretty straightforward measure, and I look forward to this measure passing. I look forward to a time when we can all live together in peace. It's not complicated. There's so much emotional complication. There is so much history that is hard and will be hard to figure out, but it will not be made easier by a continuation of this conflict. The United States has the capacity to bring this conflict to an end more than any other nation outside of Israel, and it is our responsibility as people in the United States to tell our government to stop funding the destruction of another civilization. It is not okay to be funding weapons of war that are killing children. And you can believe whatever you want to believe. I do too. And the news is clear. So, as I said, it is not okay for my money to be spent killing children. And that is why I voted yes. I didn't write this. There are people out here who've said that I'm the leader of some anti-Israel group. I did not draft this. I did not do any organizing for this measure. This measure was drafted by other folks, organized by other groups, and I showed up today because this is actually a community-run piece. So there's plenty of lies being made about me. Have a good night.
As the last few speakers come to speak on this item, I ask that anybody who has not yet voted still bring their ballot forward and remind the public to please not engage back and forth. This is only a time for one person to speak at a time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I am been an Urbana resident for, I don't know, maybe like 10 years. I've been here for school, lived in Illinois my whole life. And also my whole life, I've been a Jew. And it's been heartbreaking to see my identity being used as a way to justify the genocide of Palestinian people. And I wake up and it's just, I don't know, that's pretty much all I have to say. It sucks. Please just be nice to people. Thank you.
My name's Alan Axelrod. I am a bar mitzvah. My great-grandparents' generation was obliterated in the Holocaust. And when people were wondering where the alt-right came from, people were educating themselves again on what fascism looks like, what are the stages towards fascism, which is a more nuanced thing than many people talk about at protests and such, and I don't blame them for it. Dehumanization. Now, I have a position on this issue that with folks in this room here, we're in visceral disagreement on it. Let me tell you a little bit about my family. My cousin, Jordan, served in the reservists during this war in the North. My family donated blood to support him and troops like him. I don't want people to be killed. That's a very simple thing. We live in a very complicated world. I don't want people dehumanized either. I don't want people maligned either. We have met across the positions before in this very community. We called for discussions that still can happen because a lot of people like to call themselves organizers, but you meet people where they're at. You meet someone on the far left, you talk to them about things on the far left. You meet someone on the far right, you talk to them about some things they maybe don't know yet. Education is ineffective if you're going to be disrespectful about it, and if you care about your positions, you will engage where you do not dehumanize anybody over it. So I just want to say that South Africa still exists after America divested from it. Please know that your family will be safe if America ever divests from the state of Israel. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this motion still on the floor or vote in it? And if not, I think we can announce the tally that we have and close the discussion. I'm talking about voters in the moment about this motion. Someone could call the question. Okay, so I'm going to call this as this is the discussion and this is the vote. There were 76 votes in the affirmative and 40 votes in the negative. So this referendum ballot measure passes, will be on the ballot in November. Thank you. And I think now would be the time to, no?
We have one more item of business.
Oh, excuse me. Time and place of the next annual town meeting. There's a proposal in the agenda of 6 p.m. Tuesday, April 8th of 2025. Does anyone wish to move that this be the date and time? Can you state your name, please? Nancy Human moves that this would be the date. Is there a second? Your name, please? Faith? Ryan? Questions or discussion on this date? Oh.
Why does the township only meet once per year like this?
This is an annual meeting. I'm sorry.
Yes, so the annual township meeting, which is this meeting of the electorate, meets once per year, and per state statute, it is supposed to be the second Tuesday of the month, starting no earlier than 6 p.m. The township board meets at 6:30 p.m. on the second Monday of each month, but it is not this function. The city council serves also as the township board, so it is a standard board meeting. So those are the second Monday of every month, but this only occurs once a year.
Any registered voters who wish to vote in favor of this motion? You can raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I count 8, 9. Those opposed? That measure passes, so that will be the next date of the next meeting, date and time. And now we're open for public input. So each person, by what we voted on at the beginning, has 3 minutes to speak and up to 1 hour total. And please state your name. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Yuliy Baryshnikov. I'm resident of Urbana. I'm not entitled to vote because I'm an immigrant here. And I want to apologize to you folks. You've been had, you know. So the group which decided to use this absolutely marvelous initiative, the Township, it is used for politicizing a difficult, complicated issue, to malign the state of Israel, to call it, it's a way of propaganda, to present emotion, to present, you know, equation propaganda which already asserts something. So you were used, and I apologize for that. I'm sorry that you're living in a town where people like this exist. But you know, for the next year, on April 8th, I can propose several resolutions. I can ask you whether we want to provide military sales and humanitarian assistance to Pakistan, which is about to expel 2 million of Afghani living there. Are we there? Are we going to keep assistance and trade and good relationship with India, which severely suppresses Muslims in the Jammu and Kashmir? Are we ready for that? Speaking of apartheid, Palestinian inhabitants of Israel, many hundreds, thousands of them, have no rights whatsoever. Their professions, their ways, you know, trades which are close to them, they're just legally not allowed to take some jobs. So we're talking about Israel as an apartheid state and not mention once those huge, massive human rights violations. What's the difference between Pakistan, between India, between Lebanon, and the Jewish state? I'll tell you, the difference is the Jewish state. I'm not accusing all of you being anti-Semites, but definitely there are some people who are. So yeah, there is a lot of agitation there, and what drives it? Find an odd man out. That's the state, the Jewish state. The people are willing to enable Hamas if only it allows them to hurt Israel. I cannot understand that. Why you are letting this may happen? Again, sorry about this. Next year, expect a lot of resolutions.
Olga Tumanova. Like I said, I'm appalled. It's as if we have access to internet and other people don't. And most of them don't read, don't think, don't listen to what's on the screen. 9/11, all Americans were united because we were attacked by Al-Qaeda. And only friends of Al-Qaeda were dancing in the streets of New York that day. Everybody else was against Al-Qaeda and approved all the measures American government did to eliminate those bastards. The same thing happened in October in Israel. On the 7th of October, a wave of sadistic killers split into Israel to kill peaceful people. Totally peaceful people on Saturday, having a Saturday. And they raped, and they killed, and they ripped bellies open and beheaded babies and their mothers. And they did incredible sadistic things. And after the first wave of heavily armed people came the civilians that robbed and killed and raped just like the first wave. And as if it didn't happen, as if it didn't start the war, as if Israel doesn't have the right to defend itself like America does. All these people are speaking about now. How about 7th of October when 1,500 people were eliminated for nothing, for no fault, in their beds? Yes, the war was started because of that. And it was absolutely justified. And America interfered once before, and Hamas was not eradicated, unfortunately. And huge billions of dollars were pumped into that area, and they built all those tunnels and armed themselves and came back at Israel with double force. And now America is trying to stop them from defending themselves again. And it will keep happening in the future, and more people will be dying because the bastards, the terrorists, the sadists, the killers are not eliminated. It's amazing that we're trying to stop America from selling armaments at the cost of Israel to defend themselves against the wave, the sea of hostile countries around that tiny little country that wants to live. And the fact that we were placed last.
Your time has ended, ma'am. Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the body with public input?
I think that is the end of public comment. And does the adjournment have to be a motion? I think this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.